This video is going to go over the factoring exit slit. So I'm going to factor each of these and show you how you should appropriately factor them. So in the first question, it said to factor x squared minus 2x minus 35. So when we're factoring this type of problem, I need to think about what multiplies to negative 35 and adds to negative 2. So if you're ever stuck, it's really helpful to make a t-chart. So like 1 and 35, 5 and 7. So it's going to be 5 and 7. And to get a negative 2, I'm going to do negative 7 plus 5. And so that would be how I factored question number 1. With question number 2, I have an a value. And when I have an a value with the trinomial, first I always want to check for a GCF. That's always what I want to do. So in this case, 2 is going to be my GCF. So I'm going to factor out a 2, which means I'm dividing each of these by 2. Then I'm going to do the same thing I did in question number 1. I'm going to think about things that multiply to 6 but add to 5. So again, if you're ever stuck, it's always helpful to make a t-chart. So it's a positive 6 and a positive 5, so it's going to be x plus 2, x plus 3. Keeping in mind this GCF that you took out must stay in front when we're factoring. Question number 3 is a difference of squares, and this one's a little bit tough because there's an a value. But remember that 3 times 3 is 9, y times y is y squared, and 5 times 5 is 25. So this difference of squares will factor as 3y plus 5, 3y minus 5. It doesn't matter if the plus or the minus comes first, but this is what the factored form would look like. Now 4 is a trinomial, but this a value is not a GCF, so I can't factor it out. So instead of factoring it out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply a times c, or 2 times negative 15. I'm going to get negative 30. And I need to find two numbers that multiply to negative 30 but add to negative 7. So 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5 and 6. And now it's a negative 30, so one of these need to be negative to get me a negative 7. So it's going to be negative 10 and a positive 3. So I'm going to split this negative 7x into a positive 3x minus a 10x. And so I'm going to do split the middle to solve this. So once I split my middle, I'm going to bring down the first term and then bring down the last term. And now I have 4 terms, so I can factor by grouping. So I'm going to group. Once I group it, I'm going to take the GCF from each group. So if I look at this first pair, my GCF is going to be just an x. So I'm going to take an x out, and I'll be left with 2x plus 3. For the second pair, my GCF is going to be a negative 5. And I know it's negative because this leader was negative. So I'm going to take out a negative 5, and I'll be left with 2x plus 3. Now I know I did it right because what's in my parentheses is the same. So now I'm going to write 2x plus 3. So I write the one that's the same. I write it only one time. Then I'm going to take this x minus 5, and that becomes my second parentheses. So this would be my final answer for how we factor number 4. If you need more help with factoring or would like more examples, please let me know.